A year ago last night, my wife and I had our final drink of alcohol for the year. We'd seen a couple people talking about dry January and had seen a few videos about people challenging themselves to no alcohol for a year. Alcohol free in 2023 had a nice ring to it, so we decided to challenge ourselves and go a year without drinking. Obviously, we're fortunate to be able to just say, hey, let's not drink for a year and stop. I realize quitting alcohol isn't easy for everybody. In fact, a very dear friend of ours revealed that he was having some struggles with alcohol last year. If you need help, check out a group like Rational Recovery or Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll put some links down below. For quite some time, our typical evening looked like this. Log out of work, have 2 or 3 drinks, and then get loose enough where instead of making dinner, we just looked at each other and said, hey, you want to order something? While we were sober when bedtime rolled around, we definitely weren't doing ourselves any favors. Sleep was a thing often interrupted. And while hangovers were never a thing, we knew we could be feeling much better. There was no physical addiction for us, but we knew alcohol was taking a toll. So New Year's Eve 2022 was the perfect time for a challenge. We enjoyed drinking. We enjoyed the glassware, the history of certain drinks, and the craft that goes into brewing and distilling. We enjoyed that feeling of being a little bit rosy in our cheeks from a couple drinks and having so many different things we could try. For us, alcohol was a thing to savor and study, and there was so much to like about it. While we didn't have a physical dependency on alcohol, it definitely became a habit. A splash of whiskey or mixing martinis was a ritual signaling that the workday was done and that time belonged to us once again. We swapped that ritual of pouring or mixing drinks with brewing a pot of tea, pouring a non-alcoholic beer, or making mocktails, and that was that. Addiction runs on my father's side. People in his immediate family didn't even make it through their 60s, and in fact, my father only lived to be 50, and my sister died when she was 38. Seeing the grip addiction could have on people my entire life, I never got into drugs, and I knew imbibing too much in alcohol would not end well for me. My wife and I never craved alcohol in 2023, but there were those times when the habit just kicked in and we thought, let's get a bottle of something. Those thoughts never lasted long, but we did find ourselves thinking about how there were certain celebrations and other things that we did over the years when we normally would have grabbed something and had a couple drinks. But we never gave into that habit because we had created new habits. Once my wife and I decide to challenge ourselves to something, it's very easy for us to stick to it. We decided at the start that we'd allow ourselves non-alcoholic drinks, many of which have 0.5% alcohol in them. And we did allow splashes of bitters in some mocktails we made. With those rules in place, we never broke our year-long vow. While we never had that physical addiction to alcohol, it was definitely taking a toll on our health. We both sleep much better today, and we've lost a significant amount of weight in 2023. Not because we were drinking beer or sweet drinks, but like I said, we were quick to order dinner once we got a little bit tipsy. After we stopped, my wife and I got out and did more this past year than any recent year. While I've been lighter and more active in the past, I feel better today than I did then. I do a fiction podcast called Not About Lumberjacks, And 2023 was the best year the show's seen in its 8+ year history. The things I just mentioned were the most surprising aspects of the challenge, and we went into it expecting to feel better and still accomplish a lot. All of this brings us to the big question. When we started the challenge, I think we both expected to have a drink today, New Year's Day 2024. I was planning on a good Belgian ale or a Prairie Bomb stout, and my wife was thinking about a martini, which would have been even more likely than beer. There was nothing stopping us from drinking last year except a personal challenge to ourselves, but now it's kind of like, why have a drink just because we succeeded in the challenge? I won't say we're never going to drink again, but we like our new routines and habits. I was likely heading towards some minor or even major health catastrophe with the regularity with which we drank, and I didn't want that to be the thing that made me stop drinking. I've long had a pituitary disorder that requires regular detailed blood labs, and while they've always been consistent, even while drinking, they're currently better than ever. Feeling good has become a bigger craving than the comfort of an old habit. So at least for now, the challenge continues. Cheers.